Good morning, everyone. Just give us a minute, 1 minute, please, and we will start. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second day of DCE. Thank you for attending this session with our DCE partner, Hypermetal, represented by its founder and CEO, Afonso Nogueira. I know Afonso since March 2018. Uh, and at that time, I was working in an innovation department in a Japanese company. And Afonso approached me with a LinkedIn message sharing some insights. And since then, we have been in contact. In my opinion, Afonso is one of the most entrepreneurial persons I know, and he owns an uncommon tenacity and resilience, and is very disruptive and focus-oriented. And for me, this is the essence of hypermetal. So it is a pleasure to be in some way part of the beginning of hypermetal, knowing Afonso, and occasionally I have some strange challenges to him, and to present some opportunities to him, and for him to accept. So Afonso and the Symposium of Science Materials Engineering, or as the Symposium of Science Materials Engineering, we would like to thank you for accepting this challenge, to even sponsor DCE21, and to bring some new perspectives to our doctoral programs students, and for taking our challenges. Please go forward, take the floor, and you can start your presentation.
Okay, thank you, José, for the kind introduction. So I will start with a short introduction of hypermetal, some backstory about myself, how this project was born, and then some notes on entrepreneurship, especially in technical and innovative, in this technical and innovative segment. So I won't focus too much on the technical aspect of it, but more on the entrepreneurship, and I think that's where I can maybe add some value to our listeners. So about hypermetal, I will just share. Just a second. I will share our presentation. Here we go. So we are located in Portugal. This project started in 2019. Our main goal was to
Afonso, I don't know if you can hear me, but you are on mute. Please unmute your...
You didn't listen anything so far? Can you hear me?
Yes, I think that we can.
Okay, so you didn't listen anything until now, or?
No, it was only in this slide that we cannot.
So if I put full screen, I guess it's automatic.
You can try, and we can see.
Let's see. Otherwise, I can just go like this. Can you still hear me now?
Yes, okay. But you can try if you want, and then if it not work, you change. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Here, no. I think.
Can you hear
Do you have video movies in your presentation?
No.
Okay. So
well, anyway, I'll just show it like this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
But now we cannot see the presentation.
Oh, so just a second. Sorry.
The problem is not you, is the program. Don't worry.
Let me see if I can do something about this. Screen share. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, and you can hear me.
Yes.
So what I was saying was that I started this project in this innovative technology, but most of all, our vision is to be partners of innovative companies by allowing them access to this technology, which locally, when we started, was not available, and still is very rare in all of Europe. There are some countries where it's more common, like Germany and the UK. But other than that, it's still very recent technology being applied in the market. It's not a real recent technology per se. The technology has around 20 years already, but only now there are some real economic values coming up. So we are located in Portugal, in the north of Portugal, near Philp. So here we have our vision and our values. As I was explaining, we focus on laser powder bed fusion for metal AM. There are other technologies. We are specialized in this technology. We have 2 machines at the moment. We also have CNC machining. We have heat treatment, and we have some post processing equipment. This is our new machine. We work with different materials. Most commonly, we continuously work with aluminium, maraging steel, stainless steel, and cobalt chrome. Our main markets are the industrial market for special parts and prototyping. Aerospace market, it's becoming very big. We also have some other applications such as medical and molds. And molds were a very big part of our business volume back in 2019. In 2020, it decreased a lot. Now they are slowly coming back, but I would say now it's mostly industrial and aerospace. Here are some applications for the technology I'm sure you are familiar with. Reducing the number of components, reducing the number of reducing the weight, all this by new technologies that are becoming more and more available, such as generative design, topology optimization. All these new concepts, they are now becoming accessible to the major public, and most industrial designers already have access to it. It's not only investigation at the moment. Conformal cooling channels, so prototyping. We do some optimization for reduced weight with application of lattice structures. We do hybrid parts, which is printing on top of a machined bottom. Anyway, you can see here prototyping that for a small quantity of parts that otherwise would imply a huge amount of initial costs for tooling. Material savings, virtual warehouse. It's something that we do more and more nowadays. It's companies want to become more agile. They are, let's say, running away from typical suppliers that mainly last year there was some huge delays in the global markets in terms of logistics. So what Metal AM can do, or AM in general, is provide local solutions and have the parts very quickly available to the final client, instead of going to all the logistics and complex supply chain. Sure, it's more expensive by part, but you will save money by not taking so many risks. Let me just see. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm receiving a lot of messages. That's okay. so this is the concept of virtual warehouse, which we are becoming more and more active. We also do CNC milling. Now we also do CNC milling as a different service. We naturally bet in and evolving in quality. And this is our contacts. So this was a short presentation of Hypermetal. Let me...
Yes, Afonso.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So this was a presentation about Hypermetal. Now I will maybe talk a little bit about myself. I finished my master's in mechanical engineering and then worked mostly with metallic construction. I worked in Mozambique and Belgium, Portugal, then back to Mozambique for a Swiss company. And after that's when I, together with a friend of mine, we started our first company. Which failed completely. This was a good lesson for me. That it's not enough to have the technical skills and automatically you can build a business out of it. So I realized I was lacking some business skills. So I took an MBA, which gave me a much better perspective on what's really a business, how to create a strategy, tools to analyze ideas, understand markets, and the importance of soft skills, which technical people tend to underestimate, and they turn out to be very, very important. The technical skills is when you have them is what you take for granted. It's what you can do it quickly, you can do it well. It's all the rest that you have to put an effort in. So while doing this MBA, I started my second company, and one of my first companies, company partners, was a Spanish die casting company. I was their agent in Portugal. So besides finding clients for them, I also sourced locally for molds for them. That's when I got to know the molding sector. And at the same time, I had the ambition to have real production here. You see a lot of entrepreneurship in our age, and it's mostly IT. Is mostly, people seek for very reduced initial fixed costs, and that's perfectly understandable, and that's what the investors are looking for right now. But I wanted real production. I wanted real machines, working in the industry and playing with the big players. So I searched for basically what are the new technologies in this mold sector, what's booming in Germany, and is not yet available locally. So naturally, I came across Metal AM, and I love the concept. From then on, I found much more applications than just molds, and I spent around 1 year just reading all the reports and papers that were available. I hired consultants, and we prepared a business plan for what would become Hypermetal. So this was the birth of Hypermetal. We submitted this application. We got the funding. It was the best placed in 50 candidates, where only 3 were approved. And this allowed me to actually buy the equipment and really start the company. So the business grew considerably until the end of 2019, working mostly with Portuguese molding companies. And it was growing until it filled our production capacity. That's when we decided to invest in more equipment and more than double the production capacity. This was late 2019, so immediately after we had a pandemic. That was a huge hit. The molding sector, which was around 90% of our business volume, dropped almost to zero. This forced us to find new solutions, new markets. Luckily, we managed to react and diversify our client base. We increased exports. We put an effort in growing internationally and working with other segments, because the molding sector was really, really low. And we found these new selling channels. So in 2021, we started the year going very well, and to continue growing and to increase our international presence, we challenged our Spanish partners, the ones I talked about previously, to invest in the company, bringing smart capital, experience, and most of all, a very valuable international client base that we had immediately access to. So that's where we are right now. We are working mostly for Germany, probably our biggest market, and then Portugal, Spain and UK, and we are now starting to work also with the United States. Keeping contact and collaborating with universities, I think it's the best way to always be one step ahead of what's to come. I always keep in close contact with Jose. I think we are now friends, but I really like to be close to what's happening in the universities. People say that it's in the universities where we push the boundaries of knowledge, and companies should always be in touch with what's new, what's developing, and be ready to adapt and remain competitive in that way. Now, some notes about.
Sorry for interrupting.
How much time I have left? Some notes about entrepreneurship in general and innovative technology in particular. So, my first advice would be to think very carefully. It takes insane amounts of resilience and perseverance, often touching obsession, and the probability to fail due to exterior factors that you really can't control are huge, such as the pandemic in 2020. Nobody could expect it. So it's very likely that you'll fail, and you have to be ready to take that risk. You have to have a solid background where you can fall. But you know, when things work out, when you start things happening, to see things happening, when you get to be a partner of an innovative company and be able to grow with them, that's really, in the end, it really pays off, and seeing what you have done. So it's not easy, and you suffer a lot. You might have heard about the blue ocean strategy and red ocean strategy, and you know, people tend to say, well, naturally you want to be in the blue ocean strategy, meaning where the sharks are far away, but there are much less fish available. So very few people are fighting with you. I would say when I started the company that I really didn't have competitors. I have a couple of other companies that were present in the same segment as I was, but you know, we were together, the three of us were like this, and the potential market was like this. So there was really no competition. The biggest difficulty was to create the market. So most of my commercial meetings, let's say 90% of my time, would be with clients, trying to explain them what the technology was, how they can use it, from the scratch. You know, that's an effort that when a technology is already mature, you don't have to waste all that energy explaining what is CNC milling. You don't have to explain this to anybody. Now, what is metal AM and what it can do for you? And sure, if you compare this part directly to that you do it by a traditional technology and you do it by metal AM, it's more expensive. So why does it make sense? And then you have to explain them, no, but you need to redesign it. You need to think for metal additive manufacturing. But then you go to their design engineers, they never heard of it either. So it was a very, very long process and difficult to explain to people why this made sense. Nowadays, in the matter of 2 years, it's incredible. It's very rare nowadays that I go to a new company, that I talk to someone that never heard of it. Most people already heard of it. Most people are aware, they are excited to try this technology. And it's much, much easier. So this is one of the struggles that you as that are studying, that are doing your PhDs in innovative technologies, in niche. This is something that you will struggle if you want to be an entrepreneur. So put a lot of efforts in marketing, passive marketing mostly, because your time is limited. So you want customers to come to you. You don't want to be knocking on all doors. And yeah, be ready for all these struggles, and being able to explain what you do, explain the advantages, and then of course you have to take it for granted that you won't let them down. So you have to really invest in quality in the beginning. So if someone buys something from you and it fails, or it's not what they were expecting, the client will simply push the entire technology aside. That happened to us with some clients that had previous experience, even with other companies that were trying to do the same that we do, and their focus was not on quality, and we basically couldn't get in because of that, because of past experience, not with us but with the technology. So nowadays it's becoming easier and easier. But there, and if you talk to investors, I also spend a lot of time in the early days talking to capital ventures, business angels, and it's quite an effort. You basically will learn that they only want its IT companies. They will turn to you and say, okay, with this investment, and you have now a potential of having this business volume, can you in 2 years, without more investment, multiply this by 10 or by 100? And then you say no, because the machine has a limitation. It can only work 24 hours a day. It cannot work all of the sudden because we want to 50 hours a day. And so that's not what business angels and capital, risk capital, they want to invest. Also, you go to banks, they will ask you for numbers, and you try to finance a machine that they never saw it before, their experts never saw it before, and you can't because they don't have numbers. So it's these little struggles that you never think of, that you really have to find ways to get through. Luckily, we had the government launching this innovation support funding. Without it, we just wouldn't be able to start a company. But I can say it's going very well so far. Naturally, every day you take you take unexpected hits, and it's in the end it's very good to be able to overcome them, to be facing new challenges, if you like. It's not an activity that you can stay relaxed and just turn on the machine and go away. So as José very well said, it's all about taking new challenges. It's all about creating also new challenges, collaborating with other challenging companies, and growing from that. How much time am I? So, Jose, I don't think I have a lot more to say. If someone wants to ask any questions.
Okay, we have here a short question, but I ask to be very quick because we have only 2 minutes. Okay, so what is the new challenge of metal high-M? In your opinion, do you think that PhD adds value to a career?
Who asked this? Okay, it's a Portuguese person. So yes, having a PhD, I would say yes. It does definitely add value to a career. I had this ambition for a few years now that one day I would be able to hire a PhD and make money out of it. Because in Portugal there is this in my opinion, misconception that PhDs, they are only good for investigation. And, as I said, I lived abroad for many years, especially in Belgium, and you see big companies, they are fighting to hire PhDs because they understand the importance of knowledge. So yes, I think it adds a lot of value. New challenges for Metal AM. Basically, how it's going, it's dividing. Metal AM. I'm talking about laser powder bed fusion right now. On one side, you want to have a niche in the chemical industry, a little bit in the aerospace industry, where you want finer structures, you want finer details. So you want a smaller laser beam with less power, but can be able to work with thinner layers and be able to get more detail on one hand. On the other hand, you have what 99% of the industry wants, which is cheaper. They want cheaper, and you cannot have both. So I think that it will divide. It will. Some machines will go into this direction, but most will go into this one, where we have thicker, being able to produce with thicker layers immediately takes off fixed costs because it reduces the build time for a specific height. It increases the rugosity and it damages the surface quality of the part. But then you have to complement it. So you can complement that in specific areas with CNC machining. Not in all areas, not in the internal structures, of course. For that, you have some new technologies coming up, like electro-erosion, with some very interesting developments being made, where you can specifically say, in this part, I want this amount of electro-erosion. So things are, I think, developing in that way. And having 4 lasers or having 8 lasers, all this will increase the production time, not necessarily the final quality. I think the market is satisfied with the final surface quality, which is rough. If you ever took a metal AM part in your hand, it's not CNC machined. It's not clean. You have like 3.2, 3.6 microns RA of surface quality. So I think that's where the technology is going. They are adding more lasers. Adding more lasers has some constrictions because you lose the flexibility to change materials, and that's a very big part for us as a service provider. We have 2 machines and we work with 4 materials. We have to be able to change the materials in only 1 working day instead of 1 week. So we need a machine with only 1 laser, without the recycling powder integrated.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that maybe there are some person that want to ask something. Can use the chat, and Afonso can write, or we can help to ask. To answer the questions. Thank you very much for your kind presentation, and now we need to move for next. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sonia.